It's the first official One Piece chapter of 2018, and we're already after this chapter on a 2-week break. But if you go by what we had by the end of this chapter, then I think it's obvious Oda's bringing us closer and closer to the finale of this arc. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised by before the end of winter we wrap up Whole Cake Island. I really start off with the cover page. So repairs are still being made to Dressrosa, I believe. Leo and the rest of the Tantaras are rebuilding, so I guess nothing too important to add to that. And two important things are addressed. Number one, the amount of time that's passed since Luffy and Katakuri started fighting, because we see some father soldiers pretty much like, I guess, on Wheat Island. And I like how the first thing you notice on Wheat Island is pretty much the huge donut at the top. So I thought that was kind of a neat touch. We have these soldiers, I guess the father in the island, pretty much addressing how it's impressive Luffy's able to last this long against Katakuri. A couple of comments saying, "Oh, it's not he's able to match up to Katakuri; it's his endurance is outlasting." Well, that's kind of true. In the same fashion, we know what Luffy's going to go for. And the other thing to notice is we get to see Stussy and Big Morgans talking to Margaret and Montdor are talking with Stussy and Big Morgans. And the thing about this is kind of addresses what I've been saying all along. Since we saw Big Morgans take the picture of Big Mom falling from the top of the cake, that's not done by accident. I think that's going to make its way to Marajo at Navy HQ by the Reverie, and I think after Wano we're going to see the bounty shoot up. That's my prediction, but because what's the point of having Big Morgan still around if it's not going to have some type of impact later down the road, when we know he's already taken the picture of Big Mom falling. So he was already got the scoop. So Big Morgan's is back, Stussy is back, and they kind of like bring up the whole subject about the Tamako Tobacco box, how it was previously with the Straw Hats, but it was rigged with explosives, and Tamago and Montdor are shocked by this, so now they know they're screwed up, so pretty much. So that's what caused all this mess in the first place. We go into the mirror world and we couldn't find out two things. One, Luffy's still hanging on by a thread and he's been wrecked, so a lot of damage has been done to Luffy, and if you notice, some damage has been done to Katakuri, but not all that much, because he's got a few scratches on his face. So I'm hoping when it comes to the anime, they're going to fill in what we couldn't see in the manga, which is something they've done with the Brock versus Big Mom fight of the Charlotte family introduced. And what's funny about this is she actually turns out to be a fangirl for Katakuri, so I'm guessing that's Oda's way of scouting out the fact that, oh, Katakuri has his fans, so here we go with a fangirl for Katakuri. So I thought, and it's taking place in the same family, so I thought that's kind of funny, because she actually states, if I can soften up Luffy, score brownie points with Katakuri. So definitely a fangirl, which is kind of disturbing when you come to find out that she's only 15 years old. So the 33rd daughter of the Charlotte family, Charlotte Flambe. So and it literally states, Katakuri found club leader. So in other words, she's a fangirl. The snipers are hitting the target and she's like, yo, you lose useless. And then she's kind of putting down Luffy, which again, we saw that with Brule, and look how that turned out. So you see the Donut Devil Recruit awakening, and then you see the kick come from Luffy. I think what happens there, you have to pay attention to this. I think Luffy's able to dodge, but then he gets blown back, and then he senses Katakuri behind him, then he tries to kick him with a jet whip. He dodges the attack and then comes up from Luffy and sends him crashing into the wall. So he throws a Gatling, and like I said, he tries to dodge it, and then Katakuri comes in with a kick, sends him crashing through a wall. So now Katakuri's onto him like, okay, I see what you're doing here. You try to replicate my future seeing observation Haki abilities, but it's not working, because Luffy it's interesting because Luffy's able to see the attacks, but he's not able to dodge. His body's not able to dodge with the speed that maybe he can see, but he can't react in time. So that's going to be and this is something that I initially said with Katakuri. What happens if Luffy can see the attacks and Katakuri can't keep up with it? Maybe he's able to see the future, but because he can't, because of his body, we now know he has the speed to back it up. So that's not the case anymore, and I think the same applies here for Luffy. He may be able to see the attacks, maybe he can see parts of the future, but he's not able to react in time. So that's why he's getting swabbed with Gatlings. It's bad. Luffy's getting wrecked. I mean, it looks like he's going to keep this up until he can actually dodge an attack from Katakuri, which he's not able to do. We see Katakuri, I guess, his own version of an elephant gun. Luffy matches it, and this is just great on part of like anticipate Luffy's attack. So frustrating, isn't it? You tried to stand and prevent you from standing, so I guess he took his legs from out of him. You tried to throw a punch from the left hand, so I hit your left shoulder. So every time Luffy's trying to make a move, Katakuri's one step beyond that. So you try to throw a punch from the right hand, so I hit your right shoulder. So every time Luffy makes an attack, he already knows where to go for. And as a result, you've been reduced, and you can only grow frustrated. We know Luffy, no matter what, is going to be. And he says this is what it means to be read like a book. Then this is the most interesting part of the chapter when it comes to Luffy. His attacks have the willpower behind them and an aura to them, so he's able to. This goes back to what happened, I think, with what Usopp saw, because he saw the aura in Dressrosa, and that's able to make the shot on Sugar to save Luffy and Law. So here he's able to has an aura to them, and if you notice, he's got his eyes closed. But I think what happens is Luffy says, "Don't flare about wildly, Luffy." So he's like calming himself down, and then he still gets hit, but Katakuri literally stated, "Yo," he literally just managed to predict the movements by seeing a little bit into the future. So, but he couldn't react in time. So that's what happened there. I'm believing it ends with pretty much Luffy stating, "No, I'm going to beat you, and I'm going to make it back to my Nakama because I made a promise to. So I'm going to make it back through the mirror world to the Capone ship." And we couldn't find out the wedding cake has been completed. We get Chiffon and Pudding pretty much celebrating. All the cooks are passed out, and I find it hilarious how you got Capone literally stating, "Okay, they're jumping up and down because when they tasted the cake, they were in heaven. So now they're jumping around parading that all the cake's done. So Big Mom's gonna definitely fall for this. She's gonna have to because Chopper's in trouble right now." In that scene is there's an aroma from it, and by the end we kind of realize, okay, now we know where we're going. So Sanji completes the cake, and there's a funny scene obviously with Pudding, and I'm glad they brought this back because they hadn't done this in a while with, I guess, Pudding bringing out her evil side after they've done the cake. So even though we finished the cake, your friends could be dead right now, which she may not have been entirely wrong about that, because if not for Big Mom sensing that the cake is nearby, I don't know what's going to happen to Chopper, because Chopper's literally saying, "I'm going to bring her down with it. Bring it down with me." And you got Nami saying, "No, don't do it because you." And then you have Chiffon like, "What are you saying?" And then Pudding going back to her cuteness herself. So she's like, "What am I saying?" So she's definitely got the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde personality still going on. So that's kind of funny. I really wonder if this is actually going to be a thing. If Sanji and Pudding are actually going to be an item, or if it's going to be like, okay, this is going to be an ongoing gag where, because I definitely get the feeling we're going to see Pudding following this arc, because she literally stated she's going to leave this island after the whole Cake Island's done. So, and plus we know for a fact she has the Three-Eyed Tribe awakening to master, so she has a unique ability if she masters that too. So I definitely see that as a plot point in the future. So then we go over to the Sunny, of course. Chopper's like trying to fend off Big Mom, or goes to Monster Point. Big Mom's coming down on Prometheus like a beast, and then you got Nami said, "Don't do it." Did anybody notice that Jinbei wasn't anywhere in sight in this chapter? So we literally have Brooks saying, "Oh, okay, this is the soul of a Yonko," which he should know because he just did battle with one in the anime. So, and we know for a fact that Brook managed to land a wound on Prometheus because of his ice-based attacks. So now the question becomes is what happens next, because it looks like she's going to launch an attack, and before that happens, Nami sees, okay, they're here, and then Big Mom, you see the speech bubble with Big Mom on the final panel. Oh, what a sweet aroma. So it looks like to me that the cake's already arrived and Sanji is nearby. But that doesn't mean Big Mom won't attack before that happens. And by the way, if that's the cake, remember what Big Mom said about Perospero not actually lying about, obviously, the cake being on the Sunny. If she finds out the cake's on its way, what's going to happen to Perospero? So, find that interesting. Obviously, interesting chapter. I didn't expect it to be out this quick in the new year, but like we said, we've got a 2-week break after this. So, we've got 2 weeks to speculate how Luffy's going to be able to do that. Because it's obvious he's going to make out in the mirror world. Because I'll state this over and over again. He's been promoted for the Wano arc, so there's no way Luffy's going to die. And I find it interesting we had girl, or at least a Charlotte family member who was actually a fangirl of Katakuri, his fan base, and maybe even fangirl. So we got the leader of the fangirl club right here in the Charlotte family in Lady Flambe. We don't really know what she could do personally, so I'm wondering why she was introduced at all. She just seems like a fangirl to Katakuri, so can't wait to see what happens next. Obviously, we've got 2 weeks to wait. Great chapter to come back to on One Piece in 2018. That's it from me. Thank you so much for watching. Like this review if you did. Appreciate that. Subscribe to the channel for more One Piece. Catch you guys later. Bye.